This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1191, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What up, Doe?
And just down the street there in Nashville, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, everybody. Why are you laughing, Jesse?
Well, we've discussed this hat you're wearing before. It says God's silliest goose, and I think Marty owns a similar one. And I was just thinking about like how difficult it would be to have a serious conversation with you if you're wearing that hat. Like if you were like, imagine if you had to bring in an employee and reprimand them, and you're wearing a God's silliest goose hat.
I would dress for the occasion. I would wear a top hat or something.
Yeah,
dude, I throw on caps in the morning. I work from home. I don't think twice about them.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
half the time it's a dare hat. Half the time it's a magic hat. Half the time it's God's silliest goose. I don't know. But you forget what you're wearing. You're like, I got to go pick up Cohen from school. Got to swing by Home Depot on the way home. I get the weirdest looks out in public, and I don't know why, because I forget what I'm wearing. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would love for you to be at like Home Depot, and you and like a guy in a work truck are like pulling in for the same parking spot up front, and it's Home Depot. So those front spots are really valuable because you're carrying a lot of heavy stuff back to load, right? You got a bunch of bags of mulch or something. And so you get in a heated exchange about who was there first, and you're screaming at a guy, but you're wearing a God's silliest goose hat. Like,
or he's screaming at me, more likely. He's like, and then he sees my hat.
Oh, yeah? It's like the Nate Bargatze, the first album where he talked about his dad was a professional clown, would come home to work, but still have to discipline the children. And the album was called Yelled At by a Clown. I just never leaves you.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
there you
go. Like that. It's like that early episode of The Office where Michael has to fire a guy on Halloween. He like
he's
put it
in
on
a costume.
And they're in costumes like when he's firing.
What was this? Was that the one where he has another Michael on his shoulder, or was that a different one? Or no, that was the Diwali one where he had the second head, right?
No, I think that was the Halloween.
That was Halloween. Okay, yeah. If I had to look at like a paper mache head of my boss, which in this case would be Cameron, while he's trying to tell me something serious or like upsetting news, I think I would have to say, like, can you remove the head before you finish this conversation?
She sent me the biggest compliment I've ever received in my entire life last week when she said, I came back, I was away at lunch, I came back to a message from you, and you said, I've been watching The Office during my lunches, and you had mentioned something happened on an episode, and you said to me, thank you for not being like Michael Scott. And that was it. And I was like, oh, thank you.
I don't even think it was anything.
Therapy works, everybody. I'm not like Michael Scott anymore.
I think it was I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, because it's like every episode I could argue like, oh, thank God Michael's not my boss. But I actually know what it was. It was the women's appreciation episode where he was like trying to, I think, like relate to the women and be like, I get you girls, and like all this. And he like takes them to Victoria's Secret. And it's like, I would have a conniption if my male boss was like, I know what you girls need. Shopping day. Like that would be, I mean, I would pull a Kelly and be like, yeah, I'll go. But I would have a lot of thoughts about it.
Why? But you like, look, I'm not proud enough to be like, all right, I'm going shopping, man. Like, it's better than, whatever else I was doing,
I will say the last job I worked at where my boss was a female, we did go on shopping days every now and then, but not as like a women's appreciation, more like we had to work. So I worked at a university during like the holidays when there's literally nothing to do, but I'm legally required to be there, where we all are. We would do a lot of shenanigans, I will say. And on the last day that we all had to be there before we got to be off for like a week for Christmas break, we would always go to the local mall because our boss was like, I don't want to work today. I know y'all don't want to work. So we're doing like an office. I think she had to like say it was like an office retreat or something like that. I don't know. But we'd go to Olive Garden. We'd go to the mall. We'd have a little day. It was great.
That's lovely.
So I was on tour with my homie Lecrae. This was about a decade ago. And we're all in the meeting for the tour, and it's a whole bunch of people getting together. And the guy that's over the tour is like, "Hey man, we got just gonna be a great tour. We're gonna have a great crowd. We got cornhole for everybody else, and for Lecrae and your posse, we got basketball goals out in the back."
No.
Listen, the thing is, now here's the thing.
Wait, did he say posse?
Yes. Lecrae, you and your posse, we got basketball. So listen, this guy did not mean anything by it. And here's the thing. I like basketball.
Yeah,
I had never heard a cornhole up until this point. But Lecrae and your posse, we got basketball goals in the back.
I'm hoping that it's because Lecrae's athletic. He's 6'6". He's like, it's like, like he's not.
You know why he's there.
We were the only tall black people because I'm 6'2". Lecrae's like 6'7". It was crazy. And we all kind of looked at each other. It was a very The Office moment where I looked at it's like I looked at a camera that wasn't there. Like
you pulled a Jim.
Please tell me your response was like, dude, that is very offensive. Now, seriously, where is those basketball hoops?
You said, where's the hoop?
No, my response was, what am I doing and why am I here?
Posse really threw it,
Those are the words verbatim.
Lecrae and your posse.
For Lecrae and your posse, we got basketball goals.
That is literally Michael talking to the warehouse guys. Like, that's actually what he would say.
Remember when he went down there to Bond and he got pizza and he asked the delivery guy, do black people like pizza? And then it cuts to them all eating and the warehouse guys are eating and Michael's like, yeah, they like pizza.
Yeah, I did it. Like I was like during that time, this was Derek that hadn't been around well-meaning white people that stick their foot in their mouth a whole lot. So I just thought everything was completely intentional. So like at first I was like, there's no way that he did not know how crazy that sounds. Now I'm just like, dang, he was just like an older white man that was really wanted us to know that he thought about us.
You know what I'm saying? Was like, I see them, I know them, and it's like, there's a better way to do that.
Yeah, I mean that it's fumbling at the goal line of intention. You know what I mean? And it's brought back for a TD the other way. Like not only did he not cross in,
he got one to the 1 yard line.
It actually went into the negative. Right.
For sure.
That's funny. Fumbling at the 1 yard line of intention. That is a great phrase.
It's a great analogy for sure.
Wait, so did y'all invite him to play basketball with y'all?
No, we did not. But we did enjoy playing basketball. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm like he was dead on. Like
that's what I mean. Like
basketball.
The intention was right there.
I played.
It was right there. It was like not to kill the analogy, but it was Deshaun Jackson on the Cowboys back in the day, and he's running down the field and he's looking back at everyone like I'm taking this one to the house. I did everything right, and then like he starts the celebration 1 yard too early and drops it. That's what that guy did. Like
that's exactly
I'm trying to be
happened.
Thoughtful. Like I'm trying to do it, and then drop the ball right there.
My gosh.
Got a little,
How would it have gone over if he was wearing a Godzillious goose hat?
I don't know. That would have been very interesting.
I feel like that hat disarms a lot of situations.
It does.
But,
it does.
It would be like, oh, this guy's just Godzillious goose. Okay, he doesn't mean anything by
This guy's
it.
just an idiot.
He's a silly goose.
Like, let's say you got pulled over going like 110 miles an hour, and the police officer's like, "Okay, all right, what I got a real wild card here."
When I was 16, I did get pulled over going 110 to 45, and
110 and a 45, bro.
yeah.
How are you not in jail still?
Because I was leaving youth
He's
group.
wearing that hat.
But I verbally did wear this hat. I got pulled over. It was after youth group. We were going to Burger King, and a parent was out of town and had purchased a new, very nice car, and I knew where the keys were. And so I drove the nice car to youth group. And on the way to Burger King, I, with my friends in the car, wanted to see if the speedometer was true. And so I gunned it. And I passed him. He's like in my neighborhood entrance, actually just in there clocking people. It took him a mile and a half to catch up to us. Pulls me out. He's livid when he finally catches up. And I played the youth group card, the innocent, good Christian kid. I played the Godzillious goose thing. I'm so sorry. He had mercy on me. He said he would have to arrest me by going, if you're going over double the speed limit in Florida, you get arrested. And my parents were out of town, and I just played up the innocent Christian kid angle, and he gave me a ticket for going 89 and a 45. So he didn't have to arrest me. So
that
Godsilius Goose works is what I'm saying.
That card helped me one time too. When I was younger and had much longer hair and looked a little scruffy, I got pulled over 3 different times to have my car searched. Okay. But one time I was driving back from Florida and
Derek's like, it's almost like you're.
I was like, you was black for a second.
No lie.
You like basketball, didn't you?
Three times.
Credit was bad.
And like I was in Georgia driving back I was in college and I was interning at Relevant, driving back to Virginia, and I had all my stuff and I had to take correspondence classes because I was working in remote. And this isn't because I'm super old, it's because how antiquated ORU was at the time. One of the classes was VHS tapes, and it was the senior year. I'd put off taking any Bible classes till senior year. And so I had all my tapes from my correspondence that was Survey of New Testament in a gym bag in the car. So I'm on the side of the road and the cop's going through my car, pulling out all the bags. And he's like, this gym bag yours? And he's thinking he's got the I'm like, yeah, man, you got me. That's mine.
He got the dope. He had the dope.
He unzips it and it's VHS tape. So it feels like there's something packed in there.
There's bricks. You got bricks of cocaine in there.
And so I'm on the side of the highway.
Bricks and theology in there, boy.
I'm on the side of the highway. And he unzips it and he puts it on the hood of the car and he comes walking over and he's like, son, are these your religious tapes? I was like, yes, sir, they are. He goes, all right, you can get out of here. And I was like, all right, it works.
I'm telling you, keeping your backseat a Godsilius Goose hat and a big old bag of VHS Bible tapes, and you can get out of anything.
If there's any black people listening, y'all know what to do. Go get you some VHS tapes of the Bible. Put that one in the back, bro. It's going to work.
It worked.
This is the tips that white people don't tell you, bro. Like, they keep this away from us. You got to have a Godsilius Goose hat, and you got to have some Bible tapes in the back. You never go to jail.
They ain't trying to waste their time.
No, listen. Okay, one of my friends keeps a Bible in her glove compartment, and she's been pulled over. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Probably like 20 times because she refuses to go the speed limit. But every time she gets pulled over, when she has to like reach for her insurance, she pulls the Bible out, hands it to the officer, and says like, "Oh, can you hold this for me?" Like while she's getting the rest of her insurance out. And shocking, almost every single time they always go, okay, well, I'll just give you a verbal warning this time. Like, go with you, whatever. And I've told her, I'm like,
that's 3D chess.
I said, I do think that could be using the Lord's name in vain. Like, if I think that's what God was talking about. I can't confirm. Wasn't there when the 10 Commandments were
written. Does she occasionally pull over and read it? Because I feel like that helps. I generally
think she has. Well, she does. I think she just uses like her Bible app or whatever. I don't know, but probably should check on that. I think like she just keeps this in her car at all times in case she gets pulled over.
That's 3D chess, Emily. Hey, Emily, we already talked about your friends on this show a couple shows ago. You got some friends, cuz.
I got friends in high and low places.
Yeah.
Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talked to a New York pastor, Rich Villodas. He has a new book out. It really caught our eye. It's really interesting. It's about how to actually live out like the Sermon on the Mount today, like how to be a Christian that Jesus told us to be. It's a good and challenging conversation. Don't miss that. We also, at the end of the show, we're bringing back 5-second rule. 5-second rule. Guys, I mean, you guys kind of know this. The listeners don't. We're not making any official announcements yet, but some changes are coming to the show soon, next month. We're debuting some new things. And part of that is these silly little games that we play at the end of the show are going to be evolving. So this is probably our last edition of 5-second rule today. Look at me. I'm moving things forward, but I'm also getting sentimental at the same time. So savor this one. Yeah. We have a special edition of 5-second rule coming up at the end of the show. All right, stay tuned. Right now, up next, it's Slices. You're listening to Wishy. The song is Persuasion. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold.
The Bible bricks is crazy, Jesse, by the way. I'm still stuck, bro. I can't even lie. I'm still stuck.
Survey of New Testament.
I'm still stuck, bro.
These like 15 hours.
God provides, okay?
God provides a ram in the bush.
And he was like, look, and he told me, he's like, you can, dude, like I said, this was a frequent occurrence at one time in my life. It mainly because I made a lot of wrong road trips too. So I think they saw out-of-state plates and looked at the character behind the wheel. And they would always be the same thing. They would be like, I got the same speech 3 times. And it was, you can do this the easy way or the hard way. You can consent to a search, or you can say no. And if you say no, that gives us reasonable suspicion that you're hiding something, and we'll tear up the car and bring dogs out here. So you want to do it the easy way or the hard. I got that same speech in 3 different states. I promise that is true.
What did you choose?
I was like, go for it. Search it. I don't care. I was like, I don't want you, I wasn't, thankfully, I wasn't smuggling any illicit substances other than Bible tapes.
That boy was smuggling the Bible.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right. It's time for Slices. What do you have, Jesse?
All right. So there was a recent study that's making a lot of headlines this week, and it comes from, and I was curious who was behind this, and it's actually professors from Penn State and Columbia, 2 very prestigious universities that presumably pay their professors a considerable sum.
I don't know where you're going, but like, who does these surveys? We cover these enough. Who does them really matters. Because like the survey result, the headline will be like, fried foods are good for you. And then like a new survey says, and then you look, it's like the American Fast Food Association sponsored it.
That's why I was curious. I went to the actual study, went to the abstract, and went to the authors. And these are academics.
There you go. Okay. So whatever you're going to bring us is legit. It's not with an agenda.
Here is the lead from Study Finds, which is basically an aggregator for studies of all kinds, academic and some of those more, intentionally viral ones. This one is in the academic of nature. Here's the lead. Perhaps dad jokes are more powerful and important than we've realized all along. An exciting new study for parents concludes that humor can be the missing ingredient in a recipe for effective child rearing. Okay, here's the conclusion. And I have some stats to throw at you. If you're a funny, good-natured parent, your kids end up happier. Oh my gosh, stop the presses, ladies and gentlemen. One, any sitcom could have told us this. It's literally the premise of about 80% of the sitcoms ever produced. A funny dad, in a combination with, it could be a single dad like Full House, where they have multiple dads. It could be like Modern Family, where it's a silly dad and kind of a more serious mom. It could be 2 silly parents. This is the premise. Okay.
You could literally say, if you're an abusive dad, you will create trauma when you have parents like, no matter what you're doing as a parent, it's going to have an effect on your kids.
Right.
Okay. Of those who reported that their parents use humor, over 50% said they had a good relationship with their parents, and 44% felt their parents did a good job raising them. In stark contrast, among those whose parents didn't use humor, only 2.9% reported a good relationship with their parents, and a mere 3.6% thought their parents did a good job. So wait a minute. You're telling me that these emotionally distant, strict parents have a strained relationship with their children? Have they just run out of studies? Have they just
this does feel like something that it's like, of all the things you were studying, like, I want to know specifically the professors behind it. What's their childhood trauma that they were trying
think about
to address?
the grants and the public money that funds
That's
Penn
what I'm
State
saying.
University and whatever.
And Columbia.
This is what's coming out of it. Yeah.
Columbia's
Next they'll
Ivy
study
League.
what color the sky is. Like, it's just like, okay, we don't need to do this. Like, there's something
Breaking
that
news study
what?
finds
If
that
there's
when
rain-
you're thirsty, a drink can actually help quench.
Whoa. Wait, let me write that down.
New study finds when it rains, things get wet.
Why are y'all frying these professors right now?
It's just like, why are you getting
These are the laziest. I'm sorry. This is the laziest study I've ever heard. Like, were they on deadline or something? Where they're like, we just got to come up with something quick that we know is going to work. You know
what? I
They
think
forgot
also,
about the assignment. They were showing up for the meeting. They just had to come up with something real fast. Anyway,
but I also think these people are like so smart and detached from like normal life sometimes that you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like they're so structured. Like when you're really, really successful, really, really smart, that in their mind, this is like a crazy, incredible find. We need to study this. Like, why are the parents or why are the children of parents that may work at a factory every day more happy with their parenting than the super successful guy who's like pushing all the time and making gobs of money that's really strict? Maybe that's what it is. I
think you're onto something, because like, think about it. They're both academics, highly successful academics, probably raised by highly successful academics, which is more of a detached parenting style, probably. They didn't experience humor and love and whatever. They were pushed to succeed and achieve and learn. So they're studying that foreign concept of, like, how these people who are close to their parents in adulthood, what's the common thread? Oh, humor and fun household. And that is a foreign thing to them. I think you're dead on.
Yeah, and independent rapper schlubs like me who crack jokes on their kids when they make mistakes playing football. It's like my kid is like, oh, Dad, I love you. Crack another joke,
Yeah. For real. You're there. You're encouraging him and clowning him and like, hey, he's your friend. Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Dr. Spock did this one. Dr. Spock did this.
Yeah, some weird android, egghead. Like, hey man, lighten up.
I do think the funny thing, like, because I mean, I like research and I like reading studies and stuff. The funny thing about this though is like, there's not really much to go on after this. Like, there's so many other studies that it's like, you find out data and it's like, oh, well, there's more questions now that we can address. This is like, okay, so like, I don't know. It feels like so final. So it's like, there's not gonna be like a follow up to this study. There's no like natural next question. It's just like, yeah, that's a fact. Cool.
Get a sense of humor. That's the answer to this. Lighten up.
Yeah.
Joke books are now going to have stickers on them say like "Doctor recommended." Anyway. All right, Derek, what do you have?
USA Today has done a study. It says millennials, Gen Z are spiraling, partying hard and blowing their savings. Why? So this guy, Jacob Forrester, he's saying like all his friends are they're like, man, we can't buy a house. We can't really save any money. So let's just go to the club, party it away.
Spend it.
Yeah. Just blow it. Like, we can't save anything significant.
Okay.
Can't get a house any significant. So we're just gonna blow it. There's another lady who she graduated from Harvard, and right before her anniversary or her reunion, she lost her job, and she was nervous. Like, should I even go to my reunion? And when she got there, she started talking and started realizing there's a lot of people that are in the same boat as her. So yeah, people are just like, hey, YOLO it out.
But I have a question though. Is this like a symptom of, social factors and economic factors, or is this a symptom of being in your 20s? Like, because
I thought about that.
Because I'm like, I could say the same thing about half the people I knew when I was in my 20s that are like, man, they are just letting a rip here and don't seem to really care too much about the future.
I will say this though, because I've been doing this a while, a couple of decades now, and our staff has always been in their 20s, and earlier days I was in my 20s, and I do think things are different now because things are so unattainably expensive. Like moving forward in life, getting married, having the house, and all that kind of stuff seems such out of reach. And now I'm in my 20s and I'm working and I'm making some pretty good money for a single person. I'm going to go on that trip. I'm not going to like save for a mortgage. I'm not in that season of life yet. So I'm looking at 20 somethings now and and obviously social media influences it too. So it's like you see your peers going to Europe this summer. You want to go to Europe this summer and all of a sudden you're $3,000 spent and that's not $3,000 that you would have saved. You know what I mean? So it's like, I do think things are different now. I do. I think they're spending spending money on experiences instead of moving forward in seasons of life,
Emily, our Gen Z expert.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I am still in my 20s. Okay. I definitely agree with this. Cause I was talking to my friend the other day who she and her husband were wanting to get a house, but honestly, things are so expensive right now that if she were it's cheaper for her to just rent a house than to try to buy one because the housing system is so messed up right now. And I kind of joke about it with one of my friends, but we're sort of serious. I honestly don't know if I'll ever be able to afford a house. And I have a well-paying job. That's not the issue. It's just everything else is so unattainable. And it's I could either try to I could probably save to get a house, but it is cutting back on experiences. And it's I would have to kind of lower the quality of life I have now to maybe potentially get a house one day. But again, I'm a single woman. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. So it's why do I need a big house? I don't need that. So it's I would rather spend my money on trips or concerts or different things that kind of improve my current life experience. And I'm sure some people are listening to this, specifically financial advisors, and are probably freaking out right now.
They're screaming right now. Yeah.
They're screaming right now. I do have a 401k, so I'm fine with that. But I will say too, we've kind of been told some mixed messages when it comes to our future finances. And so we're kind of just who cares? Let's ball now while we can.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my wife are looking at a house right now. And while I'm looking at these prices, I thought to myself, I don't know how you can afford a starter home in this economy. You have to be making some bags to get us, because we were able to get a home and at the time it was a stretch for us. We were man, we don't know, but we're going to do it. At least we could walk out on faith. And by the grace of God, we've done well. We got to participate in the inflation in the housing economy. So it's good. But if I'm thinking of someone going from renting to wanting to own, even if the market retracts after you buy and you have this big payment, I would feel really, really bad for you. Yeah.
I mean, right now the median house price in the U.S. is $417,000 median. So your starter homes, at the best you're going to get is $350 or something like that, right? So $350, 20% down, you got to save up $70,000. You're in your 20s, you got to put 70 down. Plus, it's probably going to need some fix ups and different things.
Right.
The only friends I have my age who have a mortgage and a house and stuff that's dual income, they're married. At least one of them is in a executive position with their job, or they are a doctor. Those are it's only a handful of them, but it's they have very high paying jobs. But I have friends who, obviously not all of them are executives or doctors, they're teachers or pastors and stuff. And it's they're just renting houses because it's that's the best they can do. And they're I think if I speak for a decent amount of 20-year-olds, I'm fine not owning a house right now. I'm very happy in my little apartment. I don't need a house, but I the idea of when I own a house one day, I don't dream about that because I don't think it's going to be a reality anytime soon. So I just kind of don't go there.
And this is not financial advice, but they have the FHA option, which is, put 3.5% down.
And I think there's going to be more and more stuff like that that the government can do to help correct things for Gen Z. Even zero down or something, just to get people into the housing market as boomers die off and more housing inventory comes available. So
I think there will be enterprising financial institutions that find avenues, to
help young people get that.
And it'll be mutually beneficial. I mean, there's been financial tools that evolve, like fixed rate. You know what I mean? Like that was sort of an evolution that now it's kind of the standard, but that came out of the housing crisis because it was the lack of fixed rate options that forced people into payments that could wildly fluctuate based on uncontrollable factors like what the Fed sets the interest rate at. So, hopefully there will be some self-correction.
And one thing to encourage my Gen Z and millennial friends that are a little younger than me is that what goes up must come down.
Yep.
Nothing stays up forever. So be patient. Like stuff is going to come down. Like even right now, I was looking at houses. One house I was looking at just dropped $50K overnight. Like so it's what goes up must come down. Just be vigilant. But the thing that alarms me is the idea of like, well, I can't afford it, so let me just spend it. I think a good idea is to say, I can't afford it now. Let me bank it and be patient and wait, because what goes up is going to come down eventually, and it'll be my time to hop in.
There's also the thing of like 30 years ago, people were getting married at 24 and now they're getting married at 34. Yeah. And so now I've got 10 years of my life as a single person where I don't have kids and all the other things that make new seasons of life happen. So it's like, I have a little more money. I might as well travel and do things I won't be able to do when I'm married and et cetera.
That's the thing. I mean, like I remember when I was younger, there were trips that I got invited on and things I didn't do because, when it was coming out of the housing crisis. Like I remember when that happened, I was like, right out of, early 20s and like, was just terrified of like money stuff. But I remember saying no to like trips that looking back on, I'm like, dude, I should have gone on that. Like I don't know when the next time I'm going to go to like Italy with a bunch of friends who, we're all like,
I can't even get you to go to a 3-day weekend.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think when you're young,
he's bailed the last 2 years on our annual quote unquote annual trip.
But that's my point is like, when you get older, I think when you're young, you just think, oh, when I'm older, I can go all the time. I just got to be frugal now and kind of save up. The reality is life gets chaotic and busy when you're older. It's hard enough, dude. I mean, you guys are probably in the same boat. It's hard enough sometimes to get a bunch of people to find the right night to go out to dinner, much less like go out of town with. Like literally everyone's like, well, I got this night. I can't do this. My advice to anyone younger, I know like Dave Ramsey is shaking his fist. Go spend the money. Go have a little fun. Life gets in 10 years. You're gonna wish you did.
We just had opposite advice on the same podcast. You and Derek.
In 10 years, you're gonna look back and be like, "Man, I should have." Like,
gee, why is anybody confused? Derek and Jesse said the exact opposite things and to the same people.
Everybody has to play their hand because for us,
saying.
we really were really strict early on. Me and Amithia, like when we first got married. We went really, really strict, but now my kids are up some size and we go on, my wife, she'll pop out on me in a minute. She'll be like, yo, I'm going to Puerto Rico for 3 days. I'm like, all right, me and the kids, it is what it is. So I think it just depends on the family dynamic you have to do. Either way works as long as you have a plan. That's what I'm saying in a sense.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, man, I'm a kick it in my 20s. I'm going to go do some different things, but I'm also going to save up for a house. You just got to have a plan. But spiraling ain't the answer. Like YOLO ain't the answer. But what Jesse's saying is not, hey, it's just YOLO right now. He's saying, hey, take that trip. Because you don't know what's about it. Be intentional. But I'm saying don't spiral. That's I think we're both aligned on that one. Right. Don't spiral.
Live in the moment, but with the long term also in mind, right? It's like don't sabotage your future for your present. That's
you're only young once. You only got one decade to be in your 20s. You got your whole life to dig yourself out of that hole
true.
you dug.
Did a study tell you that?
you got about 60 more years to figure out how to dig yourself out of the hole that you dug in the 20s. But you only got those 10 years. There's the old saying, youth is wasted on the young. Don't be one of those. Like, be like, look, man, I had a little fun. I'll get my feet under me. But right now, you got to live life.
It's true. Because when you're in your 30s, you ain't going to be able to go on a 3-day weekend with your buddies anymore. Because
I'm saying it gets harder. It's just like you have more responsibilities. You're always traveling. Like professionally, like especially start having kids and they get into stuff. You start looking at your calendar and you're like, dude, I have something if I get invited, again, I'm not going to sit here. This sounds like, such first world problems, but like you look at your calendar, you're like, I got social obligation, I got weddings, all this stuff. And it's like, I got to find just a Saturday, much less, that's what I'm saying. In your 20s, go have fun.
We have the exact opposite life. You're talking about how packed your social calendar is. I'm like, I can't think of the last time I did something. Like I literally
Don't admit that publicly.
It's true. I watch a lot of TV. I float my pool. I enjoy my life. I'm the opposite of that. You're all stressed out about, I got weddings and friends. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm so popular. It's
What's
so
that
frustrating.
like?
No, I'm just saying, as you get
With
older,
my friends while I float in the pool by myself. That's my social life.
I'm just saying, as you get older, it gets harder to justify doing stuff and harder to logistically do stuff.
Hey, can we do a love connection game for Cameron on here one day?
We're good.
Can
we're
we?
good.
No. Look, you subject
By the
us
way,
to so many different games. I want to do love connection for Cameron.
Emily, what do you got?
I also have, kind of similar to Jesse's, I have a really super scientific study from researchers at Arizona State University and the University of Texas at Austin that ugly people are going to die quicker. Hate to say it. So,
Yo, what?
That's not my words. That's
You
science's
gotta
words.
unpack that, Emily. You can't just drop that. That's crazy.
Peace out, uglies.
Wait, yeah, for real, unpack this.
Yeah. Okay, so again, those are not my words. That's science's words. So don't get mad at me. No, genuinely, there is a study that was published this week that ugly men live less years than more attractive men. They live longer. So
Why?
they studied 8,000 people from the time that they were in high school to the time they got older. And they ranked them based on attractiveness, which to be honest, I think the science gets kind of weird there. Cause I'm like,
how?
Like, I think it is based on like kind of like the stereotypical, like, I would say like Western beauty ideals is what they kind of say. Like there's just certain qualities that are considered more attractive, like whiter eyes or
symmetry,
your cheekbones, face symmetry, different things like that. But they found that people who were considered conventionally less attractive just happen to live less lives. Now, is their ugliness causing them to die quicker? Like, what is the factor here?
That's funny.
Like, what is the correlation here?
Okay, hold on. Maybe what is it like? Okay, if you're more attractive, quote unquote, conventionally, that means you're probably more fit, you're more whatever, so you have fewer health problems. You maybe take care of yourself, like as far as like moisturizing and showering and things like that.
Yeah, I think there's a link between social and professional opportunities for
right. No, there is. Like you get better jobs, you make more money, which means you have more money for doctors and health. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that is what it is. It's like it's the health factor of it. Like you're taking care of your body. And so you do things that typically make your life longer. But also it's the social aspect is a really big part of it because there are studies that show like if you are isolated, then you're more likely to be depressed, which like depression can lead to, more problems there. Like there's just kind of like almost this like snowball factor, but I think it's crazy kind of going back to Jesse's point that someone at like actual research study was like, do ugly people die quicker? Like that is a crazy thesis.
8,000 people over the course of decades. I mean, this wasn't a small study. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But how do they account for like glow ups? You know what I mean? Like it's like we started following
if you get a
this
BBL,
person.
You just added 7 years to your life.
But
is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like you said, this took a course over decades. So like early in the study, if you were on the ugly side, and then like you just blossom late, and you're like, oh dang,
or they got a nose job.
It really, it's going to throw off the whole study.
That's funny.
Well, maybe that's the natural follow-up study is how does a glow up affect your life?
Or we've seen it go the other way. Someone who started off, like, oh, this is a real,
they peaked in high
looker.
school and then they became an uggo.
What is the effects of a BBL? Like that's the next study. What are the
That's what I'm
BBL
saying.
effects?
I like the research that's like, I have more questions now. Like Jesse's research was like, yep, got it, understood. This one, way more questions than answers. And so I'm glad we're talking about this.
The future, basically, what you're saying is going to be that we're all going to live in the Golden Bachelor because all the ugly people will be gone. And it's just going to be a bunch of us good-looking old people walking around. I love it. I'm looking forward to it. It's great. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every day, where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, everything in between. These studies would fall into the everything in between category.
And don't be ugly so you can live longer.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Up next, Rich Villodas joins us. You're listening to Hozier. The song is Nobody's Soldier.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Well, our guest today is Pastor Rich Villodas from New Life Church in New York City. He's been talking lately about how Jesus' teachings are really countercultural to the way the world operates, especially in 2024, and how a lot of Christians don't actually follow those teachings of Jesus and don't look like the things that he said we should do. So we want to talk about that and get some practical tips on how we can live a countercultural life in 2024 and how small daily changes can have a big impact. Here's our conversation with Rich Villodas.
You know, something that I find really interesting about the Sermon on the Mount is that it is probably Jesus's most famous teaching, and yet it is one of the most ignored sermons by Christians, just when we think about living it out in our day-to-day lives. I'm curious, why do you think that is?
I think one of the reasons that it's the case is because somewhere along the lines, there was this idea that the Sermon on the Mount was not really about being lived, but it was a way of God letting us know that we can't live this life, and therefore we are to trust in God for our salvation, trust in God for our forgiveness. In other words, that we can't live it out, therefore trust in God's grace. And I think the emphasis has been on we can't live it, trust in God's grace, as opposed to what does it mean to trust in God's grace so that we could actually live this thing out? And so I think part of it is along the way, the theology around the Sermon on the Mount was not on the actual practice of it, but our inability to do it. Moreover, I think kind of a subset of that is the teachings of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount are often and come across as so extreme and culturally subversive that lots of people have a hard time actually with it. And so what does it mean to turn the other cheek? When Jesus talks about like lust, he says, gouge your eyes out. Like people are just like, this sounds a bit too extreme. And so I think I'm just going to stay in another place in the Bible. But I think it's those two primary reasons why people, for the most part, have not given the kind of attention that I think the most important sermon ever preached requires.
So in this sermon, Jesus talks about this narrow path that we're called to walk. And I think a lot of us maybe have a general idea of what it is, but I'd love to know practically, what does this narrow path look like compared to the broad path that everyone else is walking?
Well, the narrow path, at the end of the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 7, Jesus says, enter the narrow way because, that's the that path that leads to life. But the broad way is the way that leads to destruction. And so at its core, the narrow path is following the teachings of Jesus, but having a heart of communion with him. So it's not just following his teachings. It's really a life of communion and conformity to his teachings. And the narrow path is a paradox, I think. And I think you can't understand Christianity without understanding how radically paradoxical it is. That it says to be first, you have to be last, to be greatest, you have to be least. And in this case here, I think it's a paradox that the spacious life that we all long for actually flows through this narrow path. And the controlling image for me is actually comes from one of the Harry Potter books, which I realize every time I say Harry Potter these days, I'm offending someone across the spectrum because of the author. It's just like the book and the author, depending on who I'm talking to, they're like, what? So, but in one of the Harry Potter books, The Goblet of Fire, there's this a moment in the book and in the movie where Harry is with this family called the Weasleys, and they're entering into this small tent. And but the tent had been charmed, enchanted, so that when they walked in the tent, it was actually very spacious on the inside. On the outside, it looked very small, and the entryway was narrow. But on the inside, it was very spacious. And for me, I remember reading the book and watching the movie. I thought, oh, this is what it means to follow Jesus in the narrow path. On the outside, it looks very restrictive. It looks very constraining. But actually, when you get on the inside, there is spaciousness, there's life, there's joy. And I think that's what Jesus is getting at ultimately, that to follow him on this narrow path leads to the kind of spaciousness that we all long for.
In my opinion, one of the most, subversive teachings from this sermon is being a peacemaker, because in our society, it seems more common for Christians to be peacekeepers instead. Can you help me understand the difference between the two?
Yeah, Jesus calls us to be peacemakers. I think culturally, the peacekeeper is, and not just culturally, but personality, the families we come from, it's about protecting as much external calm as we possibly can. And so do everything that we can to give at least the perception that things are okay. But I think in that way, because you can be a peacekeeper without speaking truth. You can, work for peace without living in reality. And so I think ultimately a peacekeeper is someone who advocates more for a false kind of peace, one that maybe looks peaceful on the outside, but really has not addressed the true realities on the inside or beneath the surface that need to be exposed. A peacemaker is someone who is willing, in the name of Jesus, to speak clearly as it relates to what's wrong with the world, and at the same time do it in a way that contributes towards peace and not hostility, that contributes towards reconciliation and not further division. But a peacemaker is someone who dares to live in truth and at the same time seeks to remain emotionally close with people. And that's a very delicate dance, which is why in the Sermon on the Mount, right after Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers, he gets into this whole thing about being persecuted, that to speak truth even in a way that's kind, often disrupts the status quo. And lots of folks get very upset about that, and that can lead to all kinds of resistance, violence. But I think the call that Jesus invites us to is one that does not shy away from truth, but at the same time seeks to communicate that truth in a way that promotes renewal, reconciliation, wholeness. In the Gospel of John, it says that Jesus is full of grace and truth. And I think that's the invitation of being a peacemaker.
I also think being a peacemaker can be a lot easier said than done, especially for people who have maybe a more people pleaser mentality. I'm curious, what advice do you have for someone who's feeling unsure about living life as a peacemaker?
I mean, this is right up my alley here, because I think I think I will always be to some degree a recovering peacemaker, or peacekeeper. Even yesterday, as the time of this recording, there was a conversation I had with someone who's working on our home, some permit stuff they need to get done. And I realized that I had to actually raise my voice a little bit and speak truth about a particular misunderstanding. And that led to things getting a little bit heated in terms of the exchange. And it turned out okay, but everything inside of me is going, this guy doesn't like me anymore. And, I feel bad about that. But at the same time, a value needed to be named. And so for someone who's thinking about growing in this area, I think it requires minimally three things around us. I think number one, it requires an interior examination as to what's the reason why we get so bent out of shape when it comes to having hard conversations, when it comes to addressing areas of conflicts. What's the story that I'm telling myself? What are the messages that live deep within me? And so I think that it requires a slowed down pace to actually examine what's going on inside of me. What's my reaction? Tell me about me. That's the first thing. I think the second thing it requires is a community around us. I think we all need people when we're about to dive into some choppy waters in terms of hard conversations, in light of maybe taking a particular stance on an issue, that it requires community around us, people who are in our corner, people who can encourage us, people who can help us see our blind spots, people who can pray with us. And then thirdly, I think it requires really a deep life with God. I think it requires a life of prayer and a discernment of God's will. And this is over a lifetime. I think I have seen my own life. I've experienced significant growth in this area because of those three things. And at the same time, I realize how far I have to go. But I'd say anyone who wants to move in that direction, you can start, I think, with those three things that I just named. I think that can really begin to help you along that way.
That was Rich Villodas. If you want to see more of that conversation, head over to relevantmagazine.com. Also, check out his new book, The Narrow Path. It's available now. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's 5-Second Rule, Christian Edition.
Passion, never been flashy, never need a man to approve you. Seen the world try to crush you, but show love to turn your cheek when they bruise you. Slide through the east and the west with a lot in my chest, but I know that you got me, yeah. Walk in this world full of death with a pep in your step, the foundation is solid, yeah. You own it, check, worth it, check, the perfect, check, reflection, let's go. Can it be true? You love me how you do. Can it be true?
You're listening to Holvey. The song is True. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment.
$10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. Okay, it's time for 5-second rule. The rules are pretty simple here. You got 5 seconds to come up with the list or answer the question that I'm going to throw at you. I got a handful of them. This goes fast. Here we go.
It's 5-second rule.
Now, I told you this was a variation of 5-second rule. This is a Christian edition of 5-second rule. Okay. So these are all Christian questions.
Oh, no.
Good.
So here you go. Jesse, you have 5 seconds. Tell me 3 disciples.
Matthew, Mark, Luke.
Correct. All right, Emily, 3 Christian emo bands.
5 Iron Frenzy, Reliant K. I actually can't name them.
I don't think either. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either of those actually counted
I wouldn't have got one.
My heart hurts right now.
That's the thing. I was like, I think I can name like 2000s Christian bands, but they're not necessarily all emo.
I wouldn't have got one.
All right, Derek, 3 mega churches.
Mike Todd's church, Bethel, I don't know.
You got it. Fine, time's up. All right, so round 1, Jesse's the only one who scored. Okay, here we go. Jesse, 3 Christian book titles.
Purpose-Driven Life, Prayer of Jabez, and Left Behind. 3
there
bangers. 3 bangers. Always keep in the front seat of your car in case you get pulled over.
Jesse hasn't been in a Christian bookstore since 2002.
Blue Like Jazz. Hear that one?
This new one.
Right.
Love Wins.
I am not going to do well at
I
this
Kissed
game.
Dating Goodbye. That would have been a great one.
All right, Emily, 3 Christian movie titles.
God's Not Dead, God's Not Dead 2, God's Not Dead 3.
Let's get it. Let's go.
Still not dead.
Oh, Emily, way to cheat the system.
I think they're coming out. I don't know if it's the 5th or 6th one, but I know another one's
you
coming
could have run
out.
it through about 8, and I think you would have had it.
They're doing one God and Country one right now. God's Not Dead, God and Country or something like that. It's about.
I thought that was the last one they did.
I think it's one where like one gets elected to senator. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Let me get my question so I can
True
fail
story.
it right quick.
It's a true story. It's a documentary.
All right. Derek, 3 books of the Bible.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus.
There you go. That's pretty easy. Jesse, something you should not say in a prayer circle.
Oh, man. I just feel like anything I say is going to get me in trouble here.
Time.
Oh, I got a crazy story about that when we get off air one day, huh?
Oh, okay.
So I can tell you now. No.
What?
So one day we was 116, and we were doing this event at this church, and this guy says, "Can I pray for the event?" And he says, "All right, everybody bow your heads. Heavenly Father, I just want that you just let these men impregnate the crowd. Like let their seed, their seed be spread across.
No.
You've never seen people open their eyes and look at each other and say, "What is he talking about?" Like it got so like it was bad. Sorry.
I'll be honest. That's a red flag.
It was a red flag.
But how would you have felt if he was wearing a hat that said "God's silliest goose"?
Even worse.
It would. It actually would be a lot funnier. But this guy was dead serious. God, let these men's seed impregnate the ground. I was
Was
like,
it the same guy who talked about Lecrae's posse? Be honest.
no, it wasn't. This actually was a black guy who prayed this prayer. Which black people are extremely extra when it comes to praying. So, black Pentecostals are the most extra people when it comes to prayer that there are on the planet of prayer people. So just let it go.
All right, Emily, 3 televangelists.
Oral Roberts. I can't.
Time.
You just gonna leave out Kenneth Copeland?
I was trying to. I almost said the guy with the jet
Osteen.
because I couldn't remember.
Osteen.
There was a lot.
TD Jakes. Yeah.
Personally, I don't watch them, so I don't know any.
Derek.
Voice of Joyce. Yeah. Go ahead.
Derek, 3 Christian colleges.
ORU, Freak Trevecca, Bethel College.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Jesse, 3 fruits of the Spirit.
Love, joy, peace.
There you go. Emily, 1 Sunday morning excuse for being late.
I slept in.
There you go. That wasn't funny.
That's great.
The all-timer.
All right. Derek, 3 church potluck dishes.
Casseroles, fried chicken, and rolls.
100%. Jesse, 2 overused sermon illustrations.
Like a chair. Oh man, I don't. Some random volunteer. Some
I was thinking like the
unsuspecting
Matrix or
Spit in your hand in somebody's eye.
Yeah, that one's. Yeah,
Oh, Mike Todd likes that one.
Adequately used.
Yeah, Emily, here we go. 3 youth group games. 3 youth group games.
one where you have to eat weird food in a blender, relay games, and
Chubby Bunny.
Time of the day. That would
okay.
What is Chubby Bunny? That sounds extremely inappropriate.
You have to put like marshmallows in your mouth, and then you have to say a phrase, and like the more you keep going until you can't, like you put so many marshmallows in your mouth you can't speak.
We've literally played it during the Relevant Podcast Olympics 4 years ago. I sent marshmallows to all the cast members, and we played Chubby Bunny. Jamie Ivey doing that was hilarious.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
Okay, Derek, a bad Christian excuse for breaking up with someone.
God told me not to marry you.
There it is. That's one. I have no idea what the score is, but that'll do it for the Christian edition. Everybody wins in God's eyes.
That's right.
The Christian edition of 5 Second Rule.
It's 5 Second Rule.
Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Pastor Rich Villodas for joining us today. Make sure to check out his new book, The Narrow Path. It's available now. Also, make sure to check out the new issue of Relevant. The digital magazine is available now. You can read all the articles in the issue just by clicking on the magazine tab over at relevantmagazine.com. It's free. And if you want the beautifully designed and interactive digital magazine, you can get it with Relevant Plus. Plans start as low as $250 a month. You get the magazine, you get this podcast ad-free, and you also get an ad-free unlimited reading at relevantmagazine.com, plus more perks rolling out next month. All right, check it out. All the information is right there at relevantmagazine.com. All right, on that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
It's fumbling at the goal line of intention.
Relevant Podcast Network.